I think we'll go ahead and get started and give you, as a starting point here, just a little bit of background about Televent DTN. And if I say Televent DTN versus just DTN versus just IQFeed, it's because we've gone through a lot of changes in our history. As you can see, the evolution of DTN, we were founded actually back in 1984, so we were not a new company. We've been around a long time. I've actually been with DTN for the better part of 20 years, so I've been involved in a lot of these changes over the years. Originally, we IPO'd on NASDAQ back in '86, and then in 2000 we were acquired, taken private by a private equity fund. That fund was then acquired, or the company was acquired by that fund, by a company called Televent just a couple of years ago. So we're actually now part of a public company again, traded on NASDAQ. Our symbol's TLVT. Televent is obviously a much larger company than just the DTN piece. Televent's involved in all kinds of IT infrastructure. They are very big in solar, smart grid technologies, anything involving energy, or as they call it, the sustainable future. Very worldwide. They're actually based in Spain. So they paid somewhere around $450 million for DTN. So just to give you an idea, the size of our company, we're not a small company. We've again been around a long time. We currently do about $60 million a year in annual cash flow. We've got 80,000 customers. So in those 80,000 customers, you might actually see in some of our press that DTN has, 500,000-600,000 that they talk about, and that it actually involves some of our publications, because we're in magazine industry. We've got a lot of different sources where we provide data to customers, but 80,000 of those customers really are being served with streaming market data, critical market data, covering anything from what I classify as the active trader market, your equities, your E-minis, financial futures type trader, onto grain trading, energy trading. So we really cover the entire gamut of market, from again this active trader onto your core even commodities. We're very large in the agriculture commodities market, very big in the energy market. So again, we serve a lot of customers' market data. Televent DTN, we got over 400 employees. Televent, on the other hand, our parent company, has over 5,000. I think it's like 5,700 now. So again, big company supporting us. The acquisition, other than us changing to this fabulous orange color logo and some other things, and I somewhat tongue-in-cheek about the fabulous colors, but really hasn't been much impact other than kind of a recommitment. As anybody knows, a private equity company looks out for one thing, and that is getting their money back. Being owned by a public company, we have one thing in mind, and that's increasing shareholder value. The only way to do that is to obviously grow our business. So, investing in our business, investing in data feeds and infrastructure to make sure that we have the best products in the market. So it's been a great thing for us. Televent DTN, again, you probably all know us as the DTN IQFeed. DTN IQFeed falls under our trading industry, which trading industry serves, again, everything from magazines. Magazine is primarily in the agriculture sector, Progressive Farmer magazine, so it's serving kind of your new age agriculture producers, again in that sustainable space. But trading workstations, all the major commodity brokers and firms out there are using our products. We have a product called ProfitX, which is more of a data and quote system combined, kind of competes with the CQGs out there. We also have a trading exchange where we bring producers and agribusiness together to actually trade grain. So we have our own exchange where people are trading commodities, fuel, fertilizers, that type of thing. We do website content, so people who are looking for quotes on their website, news, weather information, market type information. We do full hosting as well as just content solutions, and also our wholesale data feeds. So kind of bucket in IQFeed with that, but we have another product called NCore, which is spelled NX Core. It's a full market data feed delivered over the internet. So whereas a lot of you are used to products that have a limited symbol list that you can watch at a time. We sell full market data feeds as well. Every tick, every update up from the exchange delivered over the internet in real time to companies like TD Ameritrade, for example. We serve 50,000 of their retail customers historical data and streaming data. We serve freestockcharts.com, where the data feeding into their back end. So, again, products that kind of serve the whole range of the industry. We have another division called Environmental Services, which is primarily weather, weather forecasting and alerting technology. We have several patents that focus around location-based weather alerts, critical weather for Department of Transportation emergency management. Just about every professional ball field out there uses us for safety. Disney, for example, their entire campus uses our weather and forecasting and alerting for safety. We're also the official weather provider to the PGA Tour, so we actually have DTN meteorologists on staff at every PGA Tour event to provide safety and weather forecasting for their events. So again, just some little tidbits of information about what we do as a whole. Obviously, weather is very critical to the trading industry, especially in the futures market. When you're talking about energy, grains, it's very sensitive to what's going on weather-wise. So we also have a refined fuels division. They primarily focus on pipeline management technologies, EDI transactions, billing and invoicing, everything from the refiner to the jobber to the gas station. They're using our product. We're in 100% of the Fortune 100 companies in the energy industry with our ProfitX trading workstation, but also managing the entire pipeline. So there's a lot of pieces that we touch when it comes to the pipeline and the energy business. So back to IQFeed. Main thing here is, great question, can we stop the oil leaks? That's the one thing, I guess, the best thing we can do there is forecast some kind of hurricane that will come clean everything up for them, but that's it. A bad deal probably could end up being a bad deal for us, since BP is a huge customer of ours. They obviously use us for not only all of their messaging within their systems, but also their trading floors. We've got several hundred users on their trading floors using our ProfitX platform. So it's a bummer of a deal for sure. Anyway, so with IQFeed, many of you know what IQFeed does in general, and here's just kind of an overview of the main, I guess, bullet points why somebody chooses IQFeed. One of the key things is that tick-by-tick data, completely unfiltered. Every piece of data we get from the exchange, we're sending out to you. Every quote, every trade. We don't aggregate any data. We don't filter any data. So you're getting a true view of the market, and and that's a big deal, especially if you're doing any kind of bid-ask or volume analysis. As many people know, the CME group changed how they're sending out some data. They used to actually bundle the data. So when that changed, so did our feed. Again, we're sending out everything we get from the exchange. So it's a little more expensive, both from a server capacity standpoint and a bandwidth standpoint. To be able to do that, especially with the symbol limits that we have, which are usually higher than our competitors, we're talking a couple of hundred users at the most per server. And these are high-powered servers that we're running in our data centers. Bandwidth-wise, it's a little bit higher because you're getting more ticks as they come through. But in the end, it's a necessity for highly active traders who are doing any kind of analysis on trade rates, volume, again, bid and ask, that type of thing. With our service, we provide 30 calendar days, and I want to always make that clear that it's calendar days of tick data. What we do just to minimize impact on our servers, technically there's no reason for somebody to pull back data for 30 days more than once, because once you have the data, usually it's stored in the software, but we provide that 30 days in post-market hours. So in post-market hours being, I believe it's 4:30 Eastern time, we open it up, and then at, I believe it's 8 a.m. Eastern time, might be 9 a.m. Eastern time that we close it down. from the 30 days to 8 calendar days. So during market hours, we limit it a little more just to, again, limit the bandwidth and server impact during market hours. But most people are, at the end of the day, wanting to fill in their data, and that's why we opened it up for them. Minute data, minute bars, and that's any minute bar that you want. So if you want a 1 minute, a 5 minute, a 10 minute, or a 66 minute bar, you can request that from our servers, and we return that. Again, I say several years because it varies by instrument. For E-minis, for example, we've got as much as 5 years worth of data. For 4X, it might only be a year, year and a half. So it varies. On our website, we have a list of the different market segments and how far back the intraday minute data goes, but that continues to build. We're not purging any of that data. We'll continue to build that as we go along. So the other thing that we provide that people in a lot of cases may not think they need it, but we're all seeing market moves as it happens, and we want to know what may have caused that. So beyond the technical reasons in the market, we provide a streaming real-time news feed. It's in our basic service. You don't have to pay extra for it. We're talking upwards of 5,000 stories a day, and that covers the gamut from economic news, company news for stocks. There's a stock scanner feed in there that just kind of gives you breakout alerts, that type of thing. Obviously, market overview. So every half hour to an hour, you're getting updates on just in general what segments are moving, why, what might be happening. So that's included in the basic service as well. Not every software application has a news application or a news reader. NinjaTrader does. I don't believe InvestorRT does, but for any software that does not have a news reader, we have kind of a roundabout way to install our DTN IQ client, kind of a old antiquated GUI interface, but the news app is pretty decent. You can install that and run that with IQFeed in conjunction with any other third-party application. So if you're not if you're an IQFeed customer and you're not getting news today, check with your software vendor. Otherwise, contact our support group and we can walk you through installing the DTN IQ client and accessing the news through our client. Market internals, obviously a huge topic. Everybody is wanting to look at the the tick, the trend, advanced declines, that type of thing, put-call ratio. We just recently enhanced this significantly. We added over 100 more market internals. We also now update them every second. So whereas previously we were one of the fastest updating every 5 seconds on the majority of these internals, we're now updating them every 1 second. Option scans, so the put-call ratio, that type of thing, used to update every 30 seconds to 1 minute. We now update those every second as well. So another big enhancement, we released that 6 weeks ago, maybe, somewhere in that range. So that's a great feature. It didn't require any software updates, just something on the server side that we made available. Obviously, the exchange fee waivers has been a great feature for our customers. It was not easy to get done with the CME group, but I'll cover a little bit of detail about this here in a second. But exchange fee waivers essentially for any software that has a trading interface, as long as you're using a qualified broker, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. With IQFeed, we also give you delayed data on any exchange that you're not paying real-time exchange fees on. So if you want to, you may actively be trading the E-minis, but you still want to keep an eye on equities. The beauty is you've got access to that. You've got access to the stocks. You've got Canadian stocks, international futures, Eurex data, Forex data, that type of thing. Forex is a premium fee, but you can add that to your subscription if you want to casually or actively start trading currencies. So a lot of options when it comes to data. You're not just locked into, if you're getting a broker feed and you're limited to only the exchanges that you can trade on, only that Globex data. This will give you access to a lot more information. We also have premium news providers available: Dow Jones, Reuters, MarketWatch, Fly on the Wall, for example. So those can be added, and you can take trials of those at any time. And one of the things that's a huge passion of mine, that's customer service. We, again, I've been with this company a long time. I started our customer service organization here. I find technology that helps us serve our customers better, whether it be real-time chat, forums, remote control software so that we can actually get in and fix your problems for you, make it easier on you. All of these things just are coupled into this customer service mentality. 800 number support, we're open, I don't even remember the hours anymore, I believe it's 6:30 a.m. or 7 a.m. Central Time till 6 p.m. So we cover, the full market, regular market hours coverage there. I monitor our forums. I'm replying to it 24 hours a day. If there's a critical issue that can be addressed, I always want to be available to our customers as well. But that 800 number, customer calls in and anytime during the day, and just about every time you're going to get that phone answered on the first ring. So customer service is a big deal to us. So let's get in exchange fee waivers. Again, a huge benefit to our customers, being able to save some money, yet continue to use your software that you like to use. You're not forced into a software application that has any kind of specific integration. This allows you to choose the best data feed, which I hope to think is IQFeed, with the best software that serves your needs. Again, whether that be NinjaTrader or any other software out there. And then choose the best broker that gives you the best rates and has the best service that you need. So with that, there's three things that you need to be able to qualify for that. IQFeed's got to be used in software that can execute trades. And these are rules not from me, they're from the CME group. I'd love to not have to charge exchange fees for anybody. But you've got to be able to execute trades. So again, any of the applications that have an order entry interface, such as NinjaTrader, Investor RT now, multi-charts, for example, or some of those. You must have a fully funded trading account with a qualified broker. Qualified broker is a very broad statement. Essentially, all they got to do is fill out a form on our website to become qualified. It's a very simple process, literally takes them 30 seconds. On a monthly basis, they have to go and confirm each month that you still have a funded trading account. Again, it takes them 30 seconds. There's no reason in the world for a broker not to do this. So that being said, we've got a lot of brokers on board. We're adding them all the time. If your broker isn't on our list and you want them to be, all you got to do is have your broker get in touch with us, and we'll get them taken care of and get them access to offer this. There's no cost for them to do it. So again, no reason for them not to participate. And then the third thing is that you're only going to get Globex data in the fee waivers. So you're not going to see pit traded contracts. I'm going to guess very few of you are trading pit data, so it's probably not an issue at all. If you want access to that, you still have to pay the exchange fees. So that being said, here is a list of software, primary software anyway, that we've got the most users with that have a software interface. So anything from Sierra Charts to Quote Tracker, A-Trader, Market Delta, Investor RT, Market Delta, kind of the same thing. NeoTicker, multi-charts, NinjaTrader, obviously. So, a lot of software that currently supports it. As any software adds an order entry interface to a broker system, they can automatically qualify. There's nothing specific, nothing technical that they need to do to qualify. It's more or less the matter of the brokers, which here is a list of the brokers that we have on board right now. I saw the question come in about interactive brokers. I have had numerous conversations with interactive brokers, both through email, through the phone. I actually plan on stopping and knocking on their door when I'm in New York here in a few weeks. Quite honestly, the response from interactive brokers is says they don't have time. They don't have time to serve their customers and provide this for them. Let me reiterate, it takes seconds each month for a broker to support this. So I keep pushing. The more customers push on interactive brokers, the better. So keep contacting interactive brokers and telling them you want them to support the IQFeed waivers. They want us to do a technical integration. Unfortunately, their APIs don't actually support what the exchange requires for that. I'm not sure how other vendors are getting around that, but we have a good relationship with the CME that we don't want to ruin by doing things outside of their policies. So we would love to have interactive brokers on the program, and again, I'll do everything I can on my side, and as users, that's where it'll be driven from, is more customers that complain or request access to the IQFeed waiver program through Interactive Brokers, the better. In the end, I've had a large number of customers have opened accounts with the brokers on my list here, and I haven't heard anything negative. So if you can't get Interactive Brokers to support it, take a look at one of these brokers on the list, give them a call. I think you'll be impressed with the level of customer service. From a commission standpoint, the majority of them support multiple platforms, and hopefully can get you into a platform that's going to at least be commission neutral, if not possibly even better. So it's worth making a few calls, and you're going to save some money on the exchange fees, and hopefully still get a broker that serves you well. So, when it comes to providing data, there's main data issues that we hear from customers, and when they sign up for us, maybe they came from using another data vendor or a free broker feed, for example. The key issue is the data issues. It's the fact that the feeds that are out there either aggregate data, filter data. I was reading actually some threads on the forums, and while obviously the great thing is the comparisons to IQFeed, and it seems like IQFeed is kind of the benchmark that people are comparing against, which is fantastic. I love it. If there's a feed that matches ours when it comes to the number of ticks, the accuracy of the data, that in and of itself makes it a good feed. But the one thing you can't test by looking at historical data or a stream over a certain amount of time is also the data stoppage, the gaps in charts. Are you running that during an active market? Are you running it day in, day out, 24 hours a day? And the fact of the matter is the couple of broker feeds that are out there with good feeds, we have had numerous reports of problems during active markets, whether it be they delay the data, queue the data, filter the data, or completely just stop. So, again, this is our business. So, I'm not going to say we have 100% uptime. Nobody does. But I'm going to say that we have dedicated staff here. This is their only job, is to make sure things are running, make sure things are clean, make sure things are working well. So, there's a lot to be said for having that peace of mind. As a trader, you want to make sure your data is always going to work. If you ever have problems, you've got that 800 number to call. If a broker feed goes down, who are you calling? You're calling your software vendor who really has no control over anything. So, having that peace of mind is a big part of the psychology when you're trading as well. Obviously, the biggest thing we hear as well is the access to the historical data and the indexes, the market internals, the tick, the trend, those types of things. Not only do we have them, we update them more often than anybody else. So that's a good thing to have available at your disposal in whatever software you're using. So, talking about data quality, we actually have a department that we call Market Data Integrity. This is 6 full-time people. Their job is to monitor, scrub, test our data feed against competitors. That's all they do all day long, all night long. They are there to make sure we have, that our data is updated during the right trading hours, that during holidays everything's fine, that as new symbols come on board that we're processing it properly, as we have new data feeds that we take care of that. So all of this, adds up again to, providing a quality feed. We don't just take in a feed from the exchange and send it right back out. We make sure we're processing it right for everybody. We're comparing things, all the time. We're looking at not only speed, but we look at accuracy, reliability, cleanliness, making sure that we're always better than the competition out there. We have an internal term that we use called radical price checking. This is a process that's looking at the exchange data as it comes through. We don't correct things on the fly on our own. I mean, the exchange sends corrections and we'll process that on the fly. But we're not going to go and just arbitrarily say, oh, this tick came in out of sequence or outside of some range, so I'm not going to send it. That's giving you an inaccurate view of the market. You want to see the actual market as it's happening. Now, if we get a bad tick from the exchange, that would be flagged by a radical price checking process. Our market data integrity group would go back, either verify it with the exchange or through various other sources, kind of give it a sanity check and then adjust it if needed. But we don't go and arbitrarily adjust something because the chart looks ugly. If a bad trade was made and it's a real trade, you're going to see it on your charts. We're not going to go and fix something just because it threw off a trend line and made things not look pretty. So you're getting accurate data. So some of the things that we're working on, normalized back-adjusted continuous contracts. We have continuous charts right now, the continuous symbol. So for example, the E-mini at ES is our symbol. At ES pound is going to get you a continuous chart. Actually, just today, we put into our pre-production system, so we're testing now, kind of within a live pre-production environment, our adjusted continuous contracts. It's going to be a little different symbology for users to use. I believe we're going to be doing a pound sign and then a C at the end of that. So at ES pound C is going to get you a back-adjusted or normalized continuous contract. It's been highly requested. We had unfortunately, some legacy reasons why we couldn't just make the change very quickly. And we also, not everybody wants that back adjusted. They want to see what the data look like at the time of the roll. So we're going to provide the data both ways so customers can have it however they want. We're obviously adding more brokers all the time. Again, if your broker's not on the list and you want them to be, have them just send them to our website at iqfeed.net. There's a link right on the home page that says CME exchange fee waiver, and from there it's got information on what the broker needs to do to be supported. It'll walk them through. Essentially, it'll tell them to contact me, and we'll get them straightened out. So more brokers, the better, obviously. We're getting ready to release here in the next couple weeks online billing and account management. First phase will be the online billing, so customers will be able to get in, pay their bills online, change their passwords, all that kind of stuff. We have a mobile product. Our mobile product is not an iPhone or a streaming app. It's essentially a mobile web version, but it does provide users a nice ability to keep up with the markets when they're away. Just get an updated quote. There's an additional fee for it, but we now have integration with IQFeed, where you don't have to pay separate exchange fees, which is a great enhancement. You used to have to actually pay separate exchange fees just because it was a separate terminal. We have it locked in with IQFeed now so that is not needed. In addition to the data that it provides, one of the coolest things, just being a weather junkie, is it includes our high-end weather alerting, real-time radar information. Again, nothing that you care about from a trading standpoint, but it's pretty cool to be sitting out on the golf course or out at the cabin boating and get your severe weather alerts in real time based on your exact location. Tells you when it's going to start raining, when it's going to stop raining, if there's lightning threats, that type of thing. So kind of a cool thing, sitting at the bar and proving to people that you know more about what the weather's doing than anyone else. Obviously, always interested in what customers are trading and additional exchanges. We have to look at that closely from an ROI standpoint and make sure we're not just adding exchanges because two people want it, but if anybody has any data feeds that they need that they're trading, they can't buy our service because they need Hong Kong. Well, let me know. We put that all into a database. We track those requests, and with enough demand, that offsets the cost to bring in these feeds, we'll absolutely look at it. So, that brings me to the key point of what else. What is it that you need to become a better trader, to have an edge over the next guy? If you ever have any requests for things you need in a product, we want to hear about it. I'll hopefully hear about it here through this chat here in a second with the Q&A. But at any time, you can always email me and leave your request with me, and I'll make sure that it's documented and that we hopefully act on it. So that being said, that's kind of the presentation part. You can sign up for a trial if you want by going to the URL there instead of just our main page. Go to iqfeed.net/BigMikeTrading. That will waive the $50 initiation fee, so save you a little bit of money up front. The pricing, $80 per month plus exchange fees. Hopefully you can qualify for exchange waivers and not have to pay those. We offer a 7-day free trial. If you want to subscribe annually, there's a 20% discount, and then we also offer a referral program. So essentially get a $100 credit on your account if you refer any customers to us. So if you have some friends and do that, obviously you can save yourself some money. Also brings me to the current IQFeed user. So if you're a current IQFeed user, just send an email to iqfeed@dtn.com. Just putting a time limit on it so I don't have to wait for everybody, but if you can send that essentially within the next hour and a half, we'll enter you into the drawing. I've got 3 free gifts here that we'll package up and send off to you. Just send me your login ID so that we can put you into the drawing, and hopefully that, again, just a small token of our appreciation for your business. So with that, I guess, again, open it up for questions, and I'm going to scroll back through here a little bit and see what kind of questions I can answer. So give me 1 second here. All right, so Sigma Trader has a question back here on when were our servers last upgraded, and is the bandwidth challenged during busy opens on the ES? I can tell you we are constantly upgrading our servers. We have, I don't even know the current count, but between our 2 data centers, there's probably somewhere between 40 and 60 servers per site, and that, again, fluctuates, but we're always kind of culling the oldest hardware and putting in new hardware, so it's always being upgraded. It's on a rolling schedule. From a bandwidth perspective, no, we don't have any problems with bandwidth. I'd say the Exchange has more problems with bandwidth than we do. We have multiple gigabit lines in here. Again, we have services that range from web hosting to full market data feeds to FTP file delivery of content. So we have plenty of bandwidth for peak market hours. To be perfectly honest, the biggest challenge is customers' PCs keeping up with our data feed. I would say 98 to 99% of the time when a customer complains about IQFeed data being slow, it's because their internal, their machine, their software that's reading the data feed isn't keeping up. And I can talk a little bit more about that here as well, but back up here and see what other questions we have. There's a question about using the data feed on more than one program, more than one computer. With IQFeed, you can run as many applications on it as you want at the same time. So it's got to be on the same machine. The Exchange will not allow us to send data from one machine to another. So, so from that standpoint, you can run NinjaTrader, Sierra Chart, Ensign, all of those at the same time on the same IQFeed account. You don't have to pay extra for it. If you want it on a separate computer, you'd have to have 2 data feed accounts. And obviously, we don't have a way to know that those 2 computers are sitting in front of the same person, so we've got to charge you twice, and so does the Exchange. But you can run multiple applications at the same time without any problem. See, looks like we got the uptime. We need some alarm to know when data feed is not real. This is actually a great question because it's something that I'm challenging my developers with. As I had mentioned, the biggest issue we have is a customer saying that our data is delayed, and 98 to 99% of the time that is because of their local machine not keeping up. So we are working on some things within the IQFeed client to be able to determine that that the software is not keeping up with reading our feed. They're really, from a delivery standpoint, there's no real way for us to delay data. The technologies that we use to deliver it, our servers are not going to queue up data for you. If you can't keep up, we're going to throw it away. So if anything, you're not going to see delayed data. You're going to see missing data if you don't have enough bandwidth to keep up. But again, the large majority of our customers, watching a couple hundred symbols, not a problem at all with your standard broadband connection. You don't need a 25 meg or a 15 meg or a 10 meg or even a 5 meg broadband connection, to keep up with the data. the biggest thing is, thousands of messages per second and having the CPU power and the software to be able to process it fast enough. So that's one thing we are looking at doing, is some kind of indication in the client so that you know if that's happening. Obviously, we don't want you trading off of delayed data either. So we're going to do something within the client to pop up a notice or get your attention if there's some kind of problem there. So there was a question here, as a NT user, I've been quoted high for CME and NYMEX real-time data. I'd like to hear pricing for, okay, so hopefully the pricing here was answered that question. We try and keep our pricing consistent. We think we have a great value for the money. I'm sure everybody would love for our feed to be free or cheaper, but that doesn't bode well for the companies that have been out there and tried this at a cheap or a low price. So unfortunately, we think we have a good value, and as a public company, we have to make a few dollars too to be able to invest in things. So. See, interactive brokers charge $6 to access Toronto TSX. Why do I have to pay $30 when using IQFeed? That I don't know. I would have to look into the exchange fee policies. I believe TSX has a couple of different packages, but we actually, our exchange fees are based on what the exchanges tell us to charge. So if a broker has some kind of a different deal, I don't know why that would be, but we'd have to look into that. Question about what is DTN MA. DTN MA is just it's not actually us. It's a wholesale data feed that we sell to a third party. We don't actually do it anymore, but there's a couple that still offer it. I assume you're probably talking about Investor RT. Essentially, we provide the data wholesale for them. They are paying for that right to then resell the historical data. So what you're getting is just a snapshot of the historical data as opposed to having access to our real-time stream as well. And they just happen to call it DTN-MA. Sorry for the confusion. I probably would rather they had not called it that, but it is what it is. So let's see. What do you recommend for minimum CPU spec to keep up the data? It's a tough question to answer. I always answer it with as much as you can afford. So, it's so dependent upon how many symbols you're watching, how active those symbols are, what you're doing with your software. Are you, just writing the data to a screen, or are you running 15 different analytics on it at the same time? Obviously, all that adds up to CPU usage, but, any of the current processors, and again, there's so many variables that I just can't really answer it. I just always say, get as much horsepower as you can. One of the things with IQFeed, as I said, about the client keeping up and being able to process the data fast enough, you can tell if it's not processing the data fast enough by looking at the IQ Connection Manager and looking at your memory usage and CPU usage. I can tell you, running our very old and antiquated DTN IQ software, I can watch 1,800 of the most active symbols in a watch list. Now, granted, it's just displaying the data. It's not charting or doing analytics on it. But I can watch that data updating tick by tick and use about 3% CPU. That 3% is actually being used by the watch list application. IQFeed is able to pump out the data with hardly any CPU usage at all. So, and that's running on a laptop. I don't even know what this laptop is. It's a Core 2 Duo. It's not an i5 or an i7 or anything, but it's it's a decent laptop. But just to give you an idea, I'm able to process and receive the data in real time. If you look at the memory usage on IQFeed, the first thing you'll see if you're delaying data is that memory usage for the IQ Connect client is going to increase. If that starts increasing, that's telling you that it's queuing up data on your side because it can't pump the data out to the application. So if it's NinjaTrader or Sierra Chart or something, it's that they're not reading the data fast enough to keep up. So that'll give you some indication. Again, we're working on some technology that'll flag that for you so you don't have to keep an eye on it. We want to make sure that you know if there's something going wrong there. So we need to have a fiber optic internet service if you can get it. More bandwidth the better, by all means. The main thing that I always say when it comes to bandwidth, where you're going to see the most impact by increasing your bandwidth is on the history data load times. Especially if you're pulling back 30 days or a week, or you want tick data on the E-mini. You're talking 50 meg for a day of E-mini data. So just think of that in terms of downloading a movie or a file or anything else. It's going to take time to do. Not only is it receiving the data over the internet, but it's also got to be processed by your application. So more bandwidth the better. From a streaming standpoint, again, with a 3 meg cable modem, you should be able to watch several hundred active symbols without any problem. So increasing your bandwidth is not going to make it any faster. And the question of XP Pro versus Vista versus everything else. I'm still an XP Pro guy. Windows 7 I'm impressed with. I personally have never had any major issues with Vista either. So yes, all of the current Windows operating systems shouldn't be a problem at all. Interactive brokers data, yeah, I think you are correct. Again, we hear from a lot of interactive brokers customers. We get a lot of them switch to us after, especially sitting in some of these forums and chat rooms and things and learning about the volume analysis and bid-ask analysis, and then they try and go and duplicate it with the interactive brokers feed. And I would say I feel sorry for those people, but I don't want to necessarily demean them. But quite honestly, you just can't do it. I mean, the interactive brokers data updates, I believe they're a quarter-second update. It's a snapshot. So there's just, as you said, there's just no way to compare it, unfortunately. For some people, if you're just swing trading or something, it's not a problem. Those aren't our key customers. So. How similar are IQFeed prices to other offering similar data products? I'd say competitive. Again, from a value proposition, granted I'm an IQFeed guy, but you're not going to find a better value for what we charge. We're not the cheapest, and we're also not the most expensive, but we give you a complete offering. If you look at anything that's cheaper out there in the commercial data space, you're not going to get real-time news. You're not going to be able to watch 500 symbols. You're not going to get 1-second updates on the data. You're not going to get an 800 number for customer support. Your data is going to go down during active markets. So, quite honestly, it is a case of you get what you pay for. But in the end, I think from a price to value standpoint, I don't think we can be beat. Sigma Trader's been around a long time. Is the Chameleon software still available? The Chameleon software is not available. We actually, Chameleon, for those who don't know, was a software app that supported our satellite feeds back when we still have our satellite feeds, but when it comes to equities data, stock market data, we can't pump enough data over the satellite to keep doing it in real time. We had to make some changes to our feed, which essentially broke the Chameleon software. And we didn't have a lot of users on it anyway, so we actually have our DTN IQ software we ported over to run off our satellite. Not really supported anymore either, just because there's not enough customers on satellite feeds to justify the development resources. But nope, Chameleon is no longer available. Question about Kinetic. As many of you may have heard, we do have, or I shouldn't say we, but NinjaTrader has chosen the IQ technology to move forward with for their data feed offering. So we'll be powering the back end for that. It's coming along nicely. I don't really have anything to say about it other than feel free to direct your questions to NinjaTrader and Kinetic. But things are going well. I think it's going to be a great option for NinjaTrader customers. Obviously, I'm biased there as well because it's our technology, but I think it bodes well for the fact that with their large number of customers, they wanted a high-end data feed for their customers, and they chose our technology. Yeah, wireless technology. We have some customers using it, but if I was actively trading, I sure wouldn't want to rely on a wireless connection. But commercial grades of wireless. DTN was actually in the wireless internet space for a while in rural areas, and it just turned out to not be a very good business for us. But do we still have the satellite data service? We do. To be honest, we try not to sell it. Again, just because during active markets the satellite gets bogged down and we really can't keep up. I mean, the satellite's a fixed bandwidth, and if the markets go over that bandwidth limit, we have no choice but to drop data. So we do have customers on it still, not actively trading when it comes to equities or financial futures. It's primarily for our rural customers, and we still have several thousand, tens of thousands of satellite customers in the agriculture sector that are getting real-time commodity quotes and things like that. But it's not something I sell anymore, just because I know you won't be happy with it during active markets. So DTN compared to eSignal. To be honest, we don't hear much about eSignal anymore. They've kind of shifted from being from their data feed business with third parties to focusing on their own client. So we just hardly lose as much business to them anymore. They're a great company from the standpoint they've got good exchange coverage with the international markets, but when it comes to again that value, they're going to be more expensive than us. I don't know if they fixed all their data feed problems or not, but we've never had problems competing with them. It's about the best way I can explain that. Our data centers are located in the central U.S., so they're fully redundant. We've got complete 100% redundancy, so each data center can take over our full customer base without any problems. Let's see, our NT release. That's asking for Mike on how soon we'll see Kinetic. I'm going to guess Kinetic here before too long. Again, they're testing. We're testing, helping them out with some of that testing, but I think things are coming along really good, and I know they've got several beta testers on it as well. Question of AMI broker and quote tracker at the same time? Absolutely no problem. Yeah, they can both connect to IQFeed at the same time. Again, no limit on the number of clients that can connect to IQFeed at the same time. Yep, thanks for the reminder. Don't forget, if you're a current IQFeed user, send me an email here within the next hour to be entered into that drawing. And looks like yep, all good information. So thank you everybody for taking the time. And again, you can email me at iqfeed@dtn.com. If you have any questions, any feedback, any kudos or complaints, I want to hear it all. If there's any suggestions you have for what we can do with our service in the future, again, don't ever hesitate to contact me. I look forward to hearing from our customers and other traders all the time.